In 1477, a Ming government official walked into the imperial archives and burned the most important navigation records in Chinese history. His name was Liu Daxia. He was later promoted. What he destroyed was the complete documentation of 7 voyages that had reached the edge of the known world. Decades before Columbus, decades before Vasco da Gama. The largest fleet ever assembled, the most powerful navy in human history. And after Liu Daxia was done, China spent the next 4 centuries pretending it never happened. When Columbus crossed the Atlantic in 1492, he had 3 ships and 90 men. 60 years earlier, China had sent 300 ships and 28,000 men. The flagship of that fleet, the treasure ship, was, by conservative estimates, 400 feet long. Columbus's Santa María was 85 feet. The treasure ship wasn't just bigger, it was a different category of vessel entirely. It carried diplomats, soldiers, doctors, astronomers, translators, and enough trade goods to rewrite the economy of every port it entered. The man who commanded it was not a general, not a prince, not even, technically, a free man. His name was Zheng He, and almost everything about his rise to power should have been impossible. He was born Ma He in Yunnan province, around 1371. His family were Muslims. His father and grandfather had both made the Hajj to Mecca. He grew up speaking Arabic and Chinese, knowing the world was larger than China's borders. He was 10 years old when Ming forces swept through Yunnan to crush the last remnants of Yuan resistance. The soldiers captured him, castrated him, and put him to work as a servant in the household of Zhu Di, the Prince of Yan, 4th son of the Hongwu Emperor. This is where history takes its first unexpected turn. Rather than disappear into the background as a household slave, Ma He rose. He was brilliant, physically imposing. Historical accounts describe him as nearly 7 feet tall, and he had a gift for strategy that Zhu Di recognized and used. When Zhu Di launched his coup against his own nephew, the Jianwen Emperor, Ma He fought beside him. When Zhu Di won and became the Yongle Emperor, one of the most powerful rulers China ever produced, he rewarded his loyal unit commander with a new name, Zheng He, and a mission. Between 1405 and 1433, Zheng He led 7 voyages across the Indian Ocean. He reached Southeast Asia, Ceylon, India, the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, and the East African coast, Mombasa, Malindi, Mogadishu. He brought back giraffes for the imperial zoo. He brought back tribute from dozens of kingdoms. He mapped coastlines, established trade relationships, and projected Chinese power further than it had ever reached. But the voyages were never about conquest. That's what makes them unusual. Zheng He could have colonized. He had the ships, the men, the weapons. Instead, he traded. He negotiated. He demonstrated. The message was always the same. China is the center of the world. Come pay tribute, leave in peace. It worked. Over 30 countries sent envoys to the Yongle Emperor's court. But back in Beijing, a war was quietly being fought. Not with swords, but with paperwork. The Yongle Emperor's court was divided between 2 factions. The eunuchs, Zheng He's people, represented trade, expansion, engagement with the outside world. The Confucian bureaucrats represented the opposite: agrarian values, suspicion of commerce, hostility to anything that looked like it might shift power away from the scholar class. When the Yongle Emperor died in 1424, the bureaucrats won. The Hongxi Emperor suspended the voyages immediately. The Xuande Emperor allowed one final voyage in 1430. After Zheng He died at sea in 1433, the program ended permanently. Then the Confucian officials went further. They didn't just stop the voyages, they tried to eliminate the evidence that the voyages had happened. Fleet records were reclassified, logs were destroyed. Liu Daxia burned the navigation charts in 1477 and called it cleaning house. Building an ocean-going vessel became a capital offense. The treasure ships sat in harbor and rotted. Within a generation, the technology to build them was lost. The knowledge of the routes was gone. The diplomatic relationships Zheng He had spent 30 years building collapsed. China turned its back on the ocean, and within 60 years, European ships were doing exactly what China had done and then abandoned. Claiming trade routes, establishing ports, projecting power. The age of exploration happened in the vacuum China left behind. Zheng He was largely forgotten in China for 400 years. He's been rediscovered now, held up as proof of China's historical reach, its tradition of peaceful engagement, its place at the center of world history. There's some truth in that, but there's also something that gets left out of the official version. His story isn't just about how far China reached. It's about what happens when the people in power decide that reaching outward is a threat to their control. They didn't just stop, they burned the maps. If you watched our Operation Paperclip or Unit 731 episodes, you'll recognize the pattern. Governments don't just make decisions, they erase the evidence of the decisions they regret. Those episodes are already up, links in the description. Subscribe if you want the history they didn't teach you.